You are listening to the WYRD Mountain Gals Show. Prepare yourself.
Oh
Well,
no.
well, y'all were going to hear something great. We were finally going to tell you something super secret.
It was the
And
big story.
it was, but
Y'all done missed it. Sorry about that.
it's just dystopia. Don't worry.
It's just, that's all. It's just a Mad Max moment.
That's
Come
right.
on.
I've been thinking about us doing a series of dystopia t-shirts or cards or labels, stickers or something.
Wow.
The dystopia series. It's just
I
dystopian.
like it.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. It's all going to be fine. Hey,
Yeah.
I finally, speaking of dystopia, I watched two episodes of Dune Prophecy.
Oh, cool. So you've seen the first one and the second one now. What do you think?
Yes. And I I really I've been enjoying it. I mean, I don't think it's gotten very good ratings, so I don't know
Oh,
how much longer it'll be around.
is it
But
too complicated for people who don't know the storyline? Is that what it is?
I I don't know. I don't know if it's because women have too much power, because generally speaking, people don't like that either.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway, I've enjoyed it, and I get what you were saying about the costumes that the Bene Gesserit wear. Those dresses, oh, beautiful, beautiful.
yeah, timeless is what they are. They
Yes,
settler wear.
yeah.
Yeah, but
And I also love, and it's something I've always loved about that school of thought of those characters, is that what they do is so subtle, and it's all about harnessing the energy, not only of the natural world, which is of course what we do, but also harnessing the energy and the potential within your body.
mhm,
So that I loved when she came in and she did this signal with her hand, and it was
mhm.
down low. So it wasn't, I am a mighty wizard and now I'm doing this. And she just does this subtle thing with her fingers, and everything changes.
Right. Well, that's what carried through the millennia because prophecy is set 10,000 years before Dune actually started. The
Right.
Dune. And so what it is really an origin story as much as anything.
Yep.
And the Bene Gesserit, there's some things that are in the very the beginning birthing stage of existence that carry through. One of them is the sign language for battle language.
Yep.
They talk that in the royal courts, they everybody had their own battle language, but the
Yeah.
Bene Gesserit were mistresses of it.
Yes.
They were, and they also would hide messages to each other in plain sight. So
Yeah.
for instance, when one fief would take over another fief's kingdom and it was relinquished, and there would be a reverend mother would maybe have a conservatory, and on the underneath of a leaf would be some dots that looked like aphid eggs or something, but they were a code language, you see.
Yes.
So somebody walking in would never know, you see. And they just owned that tool and used it. The other thing I noticed was that the gal, Valia, the one who goes on to become Mother Superior, she
Yes.
had the use of the voice. And that's important to know because that too carries through and becomes one of their most valuable tools, which is why they're always in the royal court, basically, because they have all of these tools at their side that they can use at any given time. They also have the ability to do micro observation. So they can observe your blink rate and whatever else, if your capillaries are enlarging outside of your nostrils, and that would tell them something. But you would
Yeah.
never notice it if you were watching them, but they would be doing these acute observations. That's something that I can't imagine that talent, along with a bunch of other things. And so you hear the origin of it when Valia screams out with the voice for the first time. in episode 1 when she
Yes.
uses the voice. Well, it's a really hoarse, scary, long, unrefined scream, but it works. You see, but by the time the Dune series started, that was refined to the point of sounding almost exactly like a conversational voice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, you see, because that's going to end up being part of the story. One thing I didn't like about it, and I guess it's a Cinemax thing, I don't know, but I mean, I know sex happens in every storyline, but it wasn't really focused on in the books that I've read.
No.
I mean, other than the book that was about that, but which was not written by Frank Herbert, but rather his son. And it just kind of was distracting to me. Although it was, it was what
I
it
mean,
was.
it's very sort of Game of Thrones.
Well, I've never seen Game of Thrones. I
Yeah,
don't
well,
even
I
know
I
about
haven't
it.
seen much of it either, but that was a big thing in that, and also just the way people are right now. It's like they have to talk about that all the time. They got to
Yeah,
tell me what their preferences are, and it's like, buddy, I don't care. I
yeah.
don't care what you want to do as long as you ain't doing it with me.
Well, and that's 5 minutes of story time that they could have spent telling more of the story. And you see, I mean,
Exactly.
sex is assumed, in my opinion, but that's just me. And maybe it's because I'm an old crone.
You be croning. It be croning time.
Cronin. So that's basically all I have to really say about it right now because the storyline is complex to the point that I know Dune backwards and forwards, but I'm having to really pay attention to it and I'm still not catching everything. Because I
Yeah.
went back and watched an episode and it was like, oh well, gosh, I didn't notice that the first time. Oh, I didn't notice that either the first time. So it's a complex storyline to begin with. So I don't
Yeah.
know how any series could do it, but I really love the the fact that the two sisters, Trulia, and Vaya, those or however you say it, are so not perfect because it gives
Yes.
me a reason to want to keep watching the series because I know something will happen. That's a big, big deal. And so I'm interested in that. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
And we
I
started the new Star Wars series too. And it's
uh
okay. I am less I know it's not really made for me. I'm just tired of, smart kids, smart alecky kids, whatever. I'm just kind of tired of that as
well
a as a trope. But I know
it,
that it's not for me. It is for the smart alecky kids.
yeah,
It's for them.
yeah, you're right about that. So not much you can do, but
Yeah.
I get that. I agree with you on it. Well, I've been distracting myself. When I need distracting, I go to watch video of some kind. Kind of slowly dipping my toe back into the pool of day-to-day events in the media. I
Oh,
got
are you? Good for you. I got to be honest. I've not even started rereading Heather Cox Richardson. And I used to be a pretty faithful follower,
yeah,
but
me too.
I'm just I don't think I ain't got the spoons right now, as my disabled friends say.
Well, our focus has not been there. It's been hyper local because it had to be.
Yeah,
But it doesn't mean that we weren't aware of what's going on. And that also kind of to me feels like something that could be a wound if I let it. But the
yeah,
the way elections turned out and I'm not going to let it. That's just all there is to it. So I haven't really spent a lot of time focusing on the circus up there in DC, but rather more focused on what's going on down here. I could spend 24 hours a day trying to help around here and still wouldn't even make a dent in it,
No,
So not like
no,
there's
not at all.
There's stuff to do. There is. And I've been doing some much needed cleaning, and that always feels good.
I have not done any of that yet, and I need to.
You will when you can. Until then, you know what you got to do and you do it. How is the temple?
Great. Busy.
Any news?
Busy,
Anything you want to
busy,
share?
busy.
Y'all got anything good coming up?
Yeah, on the 21st, we've got a thing over at the Well in West Asheville, which is where we did our Samhain event, which was it was lovely. It's a beautiful space, and we're very grateful. I've known the fella who's the keeper of that, who's James Gennaro. I've known him a long time, and it's really nice to be in that space.
And that's the 21st space.
What?
It's a sweet space.
It is. It's small. We're kind of used to having a little more room than that, but it's really sweet and beautiful and affordable. So we're glad to be able to do that. One of our volunteers said, "Oh, well, I can't believe it. You're doing it on the 21st." And I said, because she had some other things planned, apparently. And I said, well, listen up. That's when the solstice is, and that's when we could get the space. So it's kind of your problem and not my problem.
That's a YP, not an MP.
Exactly. She was just joking, of course, but she's one of those people that she's always going to find the one flaw in what you just said, that one tiny piece. Like there's somebody sent me a video of people knitting in a beautiful cathedral in Britain. I said, wouldn't that be fun to get everybody together to knit? Oh, that would be great. I'm going to see if All Souls would like to do that. La, la, la. And she said, well, I don't know what kind of prejudice you have against other things. Are you just being a bigot? And she said it with this really flat affect. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, there are people who also crochet. I was like, I'm going to need about one more of those from you before I walk over to where you're sitting, smugly smiling, and smack the ever-loving crow out of you.
So she was trying to make that was a joke?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's passive aggressive.
Oh, boy, is it passive aggressive.
Yeah. That's like saying, I don't mean anything by this, but.
Right. It's just a joke.
I was just joking.
My patience with that kind of stuff is pretty thin.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, because it's just not necessary.
Well, it's attention seeking. Yes, a lot of people need a lot of attention right now, but not because you're just being a crow. I mean.
Well.
And she's not got a mean bone in her body, really. And I know her backstory, so I know why it is she does what she does, but it is hard. It is hard sometimes.
Well, we're going to have to undergo a cultural, everybody, all of them, us, I should say, we all need some sort of therapy at this point after all the crap we've been through in the last 8 years.
Boy, ain't that the truth?
Yeah. With a pandemic and, tumultuous politics and now this crap going around and, just this hurricane, all of that. So we've come out of it in my opinion, we have been, altered, probably even genetically because of.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought.
There's a lot of evidence to suggest that certain prolonged events, especially of emergency conditions and extreme stress and trauma, can actually change your physiology And depending on what the chemicals you're around in your environment can change the structure of the molecules of your cells, and research suggests even your genetic DNA.
Golly,
There
that's
are
scary.
mutations, in other words, they absorb in that way sometimes. And we've done a
Yeah.
lot to the environment. And so there's anybody eating and drinking from the water sources here, think about what's happening and make your decisions that way. But I don't, we've had this talk privately, so I don't
Yeah,
have
we
to,
have.
but it's interesting. And I hope that we keep evolving in the right way as a species, and not
Yes.
not in a totally mutated fashion. So says the girl who loves the Dune series. How
I went to the doctor a couple of weeks ago. We already talked about this, but my blood work came back and some of it was like, what do you mean I've got a magnesium shortage? What does that mean? What do you mean I'm anemic? And I just thought to myself, well, if you don't eat, here's what can happen to you.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be a little more conscious about that sort of thing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good that you're proactive about it, because it's better to just keep it from happening if you can.
Well, and I can't wait for doctors to fix it because God knows it would be big pharma out the wazoo. So I'm just going to start taking some magnesium, which is not, it's not difficult. I'm going to, I don't know. I don't know what all I'm going to do. I'm going to get some Floridix from the co-op and work on my iron and anemia level
On the iron,
on my
well,
arm. And y'all, we have not talked about holiday traditions at all. We're still just processing some stuff, but the whole time I've been talking here today, I have been sorting cards, and not Revelator cards because we will get to that, I promise you. But I've been sorting out Yule cards, holiday cards. So thank you for being patient with me, Alicia, while I'm not looking at you directly. Oh, you're
I
not
don't,
looking at me directly either. What the hell are you looking at?
I'm looking at this murder of crows that just pulled up here while you were talking.
Wow.
Can you hear them?
No.
We've got a lot of wind, a lot of wind. And
Oh,
so
it's terrible, terrible.
I'm looking at the tops of a bunch of trees, and it's really beautiful view. But these trees are definitely
Yeah.
moving with big old wind gusts. And there's a lot of tree limbs or parts of trees that are partially down and kind of stuck in other trees, And
Yeah.
some of that's going to come down if this wind continues. It probably already has. But
Ugh.
I'm glad that it hasn't rained, because that would be bad with the wind the way that it is.
Yes, it
What do
would. And I got to tell you, for several, I guess actually many years now, I have been uncomfortable with strong wind.
you?
And I never knew why that was. I didn't have an event like we have had recently.
Yeah,
But yeah, and so it just it makes me uneasy, is about the best I can say. It makes me uncomfortable.
I'm fascinated by it the same way that I am with waves, but it doesn't mean I want to be out right in it all the time. Okay. So, but I love to watch it when I can. There have been some times that I've thought I was maybe taking too much of a chance staying outside, but I
Yeah.
still love it. I do. Did I ever tell you, this will be quick, I promise. Did I ever tell you about driving my truck home up the mountain and getting hit by the tree during the hurricane winds?
No. When
Okay,
was that?
I can go back and check on
Well,
the
when
year.
it was when you had a truck, because you don't have
It
a
was,
truck right now.
yeah, I don't have a truck. I was teaching at isothermal, I think, down in Columbus, and I had met this musician, and I had gone down there to write some music, and indeed we did write some music that evening. And so it was late when I was coming back home. It was like midnight or something, and that big steep hill coming up uh, from Saluda, Tryon, that area.
Oh, hell yes, I know that big hill.
So right before you get to that, because I think I want to say he lived in Landrum, South Carolina. Just a very
Okay.
talented musician. And that was a significant night because I got two or three photos that I just adore from it and wrote a pretty good damn song. Anyway, as I was coming home, a tree, I was coming, I was on I-26 right before you get to the Columbus exit. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Tree blew off and broke and smacked the truck window.
Oh my
And
God.
the truck window shattered into just 1,000 pieces instantly. And I pulled, I mean, obviously I was stopped. I
Right.
couldn't, shock was the second thing. And I ended up kind of limping around because I was right there at the exit for Columbus. So I
Oh
went ahead and
gosh.
got on that little loop and I inched around that little loop and I pulled into that first parking lot because I didn't want it to be midnight on me with me alone on the interstate. So I pulled into
No.
that very first parking lot, which was a Waffle House. And guess there was a bunch of emergency physicians that were actually at the Waffle House at that time. Now that's my lucky life.
Wow.
That's my lucky life. And they towed my car home. I rode with the tow guy. Here it is. And it was March 30th, 2014, 10 years ago. So, yeah. Can you see this picture at all?
No.
Okay.
No, it just is a big blur.
I'll send you the link. It's a picture of the shattered glass.
Oh.
In the middle of the shattered glass, right where my face was the, was the only place that had any glass that had fallen out of the rest of it was just there in like a sheet that was moved around into the shape of the limb. But right there where my face was a heart-shaped piece of glass that flew out. And
Oh.
is that crazy?
That is crazy, but I love it.
Well, I was so grateful that day. You just don't know. Let me see if I can find my link to it. It's so hard for me to navigate around on this now. These darn kids and they're changing technology.
Quit that right now. I got to tell you that that whole gratitude thing, and I'm sure I was nominally grateful my whole life, but lately, in the past, I'm just going to say 2 years, maybe,
Yeah,
I've become so grateful about just about everything. Everything. I'm just
yeah.
grateful.
Well, you've led a phenomenal life. You've got to do so many things that other people will never get to do.
I
So
know, my crazy life.
yeah, your life has been so extraordinary that other people enjoy hearing about it. That's where you're at. So you got everything to be grateful for, you know. Same for me.
Years ago, I was in a group and we were saying, what's your autobiography going to be called? And and that was 50 years ago probably. I said, I want my autobiography to be called Phantasmagoria. Full of
That,
spirits, full of crazy. That's my life, Phantasmagoria.
well, I think that the celebrity that I identify with the most is Forrest Gump. because he just dumb lucked his way into all these incredible situations, and it's like he didn't mean to make that happen, but and it's almost too much to believe kind of
Yeah.
thing. I feel like that's my life. I've had all these incredible things that if I talked about them all the time, people would be like, "Oh, look at that habitual liar," because there's no way
Yes.
you could
Yeah.
have all that cool stuff happen. But I really have. It's been crazy.
Yeah. I don't talk about a lot of things, and there are people. It's so funny to me. People who they don't know that I did theater or I do theater. They just don't know that because that's not part of what I talk about. That you know, I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it?
It's crazy how that happens, isn't it?
It is. And you don't want to talk about it all the time because I don't know if it sounds like you're bragging or what it is, but people will say, "Oh, have you ever heard of?" And the answer almost always is, "Yeah, I have. I've heard that
Yeah.
and I've done it." Did you ever think that you could? Yeah, I did, and I did that about 25 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky in the jobs and the volunteer positions that I got. And so I got to meet some really interesting people and some people that, if I talk about it, everybody will say, "No, you didn't." Well, I did. But it gave me some cool ass life experience. That's what I would say. So
Well, yeah, exactly. And you just kind of fall into it. I mean, I get the Forrest Gump thing, because I've just I've just fallen into so many things, and it's like, oh, yeah, yeah, no, that'd be cool. Yeah, sure, sure. And it's not like I planned it. It's not like I had a 5-year plan to do fill in the blank because I didn't. I
yeah.
just I took advantage of things offered or shoved my way into something that looked interesting that nobody would offer to me and just went, "Oh, I think I'll do that too." Y'all don't mind, do
Yeah.
you? And if they did mind, they told me, and then if I still want to do it, I just keep pushing. And that's been that has not won me some friends and influencers. But here's the thing of being as old as I am and even older than you is that I don't care. At
Yeah.
this point, I don't care. The land that I've loved my whole life is under threat and has been under threat, and nobody's coming to help us, which makes me really sad and really angry. But the other thing about it is that we are helping ourselves and that we understand how important mutual aid is.
You're absolutely right about that. That's how we've always gotten along.
Yeah, we've not been able to count on the outside world doing anything but coming in here like cultural strip miners and taking whatever was of value and leaving us either just the way we were or worse off. And that has
Yeah.
just been the history of Appalachia for hundreds of years. And
Yeah.
it ain't changing. Because now I'm just going to light on the North Carolina General Assembly. And if y'all would, they're going to vote on the veto of that Senate bill, I believe on the 10th of this month. And if y'all in North Carolina and anywhere else is listening to this would write to the governor and I'm gonna post a thing today about the 3 Republican reps from this end of the state that broke away from their party to basically say you have bogged this damn bill up with all kinds of stuff when the people of Western North Carolina need your help. And they're just playing politics like they always do with these damn bills. So I'll post a thing later. I mean, by the time y'all hear this, it will have been posted. Please write, please call,
It does
because
make a
they
difference.
have left us in the lurch, and they don't even care.
We have a
They don't
couple of
care because they
that
know
are
we've got no power up here. We never have had any power. The only power we have is in our fists and our guns and the way we love the land.
Well, the land has been poisoned. We're never going to see it back to the way it was in our lifetime anyway, but we can at least stop from making the wrong decisions. But we need to spend the rest of our life trying to help this area recover, if you ask me.
Yep. I think it's going to be our life's work. I'm not kidding.
I know you're not, and I'm not either. I know the kind of wound. No, I don't know. I just suspect the kind of wound that has happened. And it's a shame what we've done. It's a shame.
Well, and I'm going to say this, that for those of us who were spared the initial horrible damage, I mean, you and I were lucky. We weren't blessed. It's not like some divinity was shining down on us. It wasn't shining down on everybody else. But I think anybody who got out of this safe and sound and just crazy, because that's what we are. We're just crazy. I think you owe it to the people who didn't get out of it. You owe it. You owe paying attention. You owe doing a little bit extra. That's what I think. For what it's worth, that's what I think.
I agree with you. I just think that this is a time to organize our thoughts and make decisions about what it's going to take to help the actual land and the people, and of course the animals too, and the plants, to help this place. And it's going to be a long-term job to do it. So we need to understand things.
We need to look with eyes that are long seeing. And to understand we got to do stuff right now. Like right now, there's people that's cold and people without houses. And that's something immediate. And there's still landlords that are throwing people out because they haven't been able to work in 2 months.
And it's one of these situations where we also have all these empty buildings.
Yes.
And I mean, we're not using the resources that we have well. Even if we were, it's still not enough to take care of the enormous amount of damage. And the problem that I keep having in my mind is this is a well-documented thing. This is well documented. If you go anywhere on the tube of you, it's going to
I love that. The tube of you.
Tube of you. It'll show up on your feed at some point, and you're going to see there are thousands of videos. The video influencers who evidently make money doing this are continually visiting the area and going through and documenting. And we have teams of scientists that are here. We have teams of geologists that are amateurs or professionals that are in. We have students. We were lucky enough to have the Mennonites who did a great amount of good. I looked into it.
They did.
They're telling me, we've got Beth Fifth, we've got a lot, but it's not even close to near enough. And so we're having to make chaos decisions still about and we're trying to keep people alive through a really cold snap already. And Code Purple, how many days?
I don't know, but you're exactly right. We should have been done with this kind of triage 2 weeks in.
Yeah,
and now it should be looking more long term, but we're not. Sorry, cuckoo.
We love the cuckoo. It only bothers you.
Here we are 2 months and 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
And we are still doing triage. We're still getting heaters to people who are living in crow. I'm not even going to crow it out. Living in a goddamn tent. And I can't get a number on how many people are living in tents that need to move to housing. I can't get anybody to give me that number.
Nobody
they don't know. Because they don't know.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And there is no way to know. The best you can do is estimate it. But the only way to actually know that would be if we all had like a GPS embedded in our skin. And that, don't worry, it'll get worse before it's over. So, especially in Appalachia. People don't want to be found. Some of them.
No, and I cannot blame them for that. But I can blame, and I know there are not people doing this, but I can blame people if their youngins are freezing and their pride won't let them take any help. Well, to hell with that. To hell with it.
Yeah.
If you make that decision for you, you don't make that decision for your youngins.
No. We've got a lot of that has been going on, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't, it's so there's misery enough for everybody. Just feel free
Gosh,
to
in there?
yeah.
But I am writing out these pretty cards, and they got some red envelopes and some blue envelopes and green envelopes, and the blue ones are Hank blue. Hank blue envelopes
Nice.
on your card.
Nice,
So
nice.
I'm working hard personally on finding joy,
Mhm.
because it
Yeah.
is not coming easy these days. And I mean, I don't really do guilt. I don't feel guilty about a lot of things, maybe anything, but I am feeling pretty stout.
WYRD Radio.
I'm not putting up with that crow, 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 crow bullshit.